from Adam and Eve. A conference call. The guy's name's Adam Fenellini, and of course his wife's name is Eve Fenellini. They're fucking, I'm not sure if they're in the mafia, but they sound dangerous. They weren't joking. They said that apparently you guys are still not buying the requisite number of butt plugs, vibrators, dildos, lubricant, fisting gloves, those offal shields that you wrap around your face, black scaled boots with spurs, all the wonderful sex toys that they have at adamandeve.com that you get 50% off of and free delivery and 3 free primitive storage devices, which we call DVDs, all for you. You guys have got to get to the internet now. Because they weren't fucking kidding. They asked me if I was allergic to dirt. They asked me if I needed oxygen to survive. They asked me how much blood I thought I had in my body versus how much blood I could live without if it was in a kiddie pool. They said they want to fill a kiddie pool with my blood, and they want to fill it with butt plugs and sell those butt plugs. Now imbued with some kind of energy, they say, comes from blood. They're freaks, man. They run you got to go to adamandeve.com. Buy one of these sex toys. You get 50% off. 50% off. You can resell these things. Go down, buy a bunch of these fucking things, sell them in front of a museum next to the hot dog guy. People going to museums love to fuck. Please, make the move, okay?
Go to adamandeve.com and enter the name Duncan at checkout. You get half off sex toys and double the orgasms.
And to all of you who have been so kind as to donate to the Duncan Trussell Family Hour, God bless you. Thank you so much for your kind and generous donations. And I have the audacity to ask for something more than your donations. I want you to donate your time and your attention and your stories to the Duncan Trussell Family Hour forum located at duncantrussell.com. A website that has grown so quickly that it has crashed our servers multiple times and has also apparently at one point been assailed by hackers. It sucks. But I suppose that's what happens when you start extruding any attempt at positivia. It's like for people who can't pee. It's like what Activia is for people who can't pee. Fuck. I'll leave it in there. I'm too lazy to delete it. Anytime you start shining the light, the fucking bugs come, I guess. I guess that's just how it works. And I'm not saying I'm shining some perfect bright light. I sell sex toys. I fucking wander the bars of Atwater, mumbling clumsily to girls. But where I fail, the Duncan Trussell family prevails. Because there's some really cool, brilliant people there. And if you feel the pull, join the forum. It's not like we're going to fucking keep you there. We're not going to handcuff you in a basement. We're not going to... There's no invitation to join a commune. It's just a bunch of really smart, fun people having awesome conversations, which I would like you to take part in. Please. Now, the guest that I have today for you is hanging out with this guy. You kind of feel like it reminds me of like when it's a really hot summer day and you walk into the deep air conditioned coolness of an industrial mall area. That's the worst description ever. There's so many better ways. I could have just said he's a cool glass of lemonade on a hot summer day. That's what he is. I'll use someone else's term for this. He's a super funny comedian who has numerous TV credits, which he all deserves, including a Comedy Central special. And I have no doubt that within the next year or so, he's going to have his own show. So he's definitely going to have some kind of massive acceleration that's going to happen to him. So I was lucky to get him on the Duncan Trussell Family Hour now, because I got the feeling that I was talking to someone who is experiencing what it's like to be pulled all the way back in the fame boomerang. He's already got his own special, already a character in Ugly Americans, but that fucking thing's about to, the hand of Satan or God that's holding him, it's about to let go and send him flying at warp speed into Russell Brand land. The land where you get on stage and people start slipping on the vaginal secretions that are being blasted out of the pussies of every woman in the audience, because your potent positivity mixing in with your edginess, mixing in with your genius comedy, causes their vaginas to turn into Niagara Falls. It happens when Russell Brand gets on stage. Girls have seizures. They have to have a fucking tent like they have at Burning Man for all the girls who just start freaking out and frothing at the mouth and have to be massaged back down to a state where they can drive home just from seeing him. Pete Holmes, he's on his way there. And I got to spend a little time with him on that journey. And this is that conversation. The Duncan Trussell Family Hour welcomes to the family comedian Pete Holmes. Check out his podcast, You Made It Weird. There'll be links at the Go Deeper section, the comments section on the website. I love you guys. Hare Krishna. One of the funniest comedians on the planet, with several jokes that I consider masterpieces in the world of comedy. Can I play?
Whoa.
Can I play your Facebook joke?
You can play whatever joke you want.
Okay, I'm going to play
What
that
a flattering,
Facebook joke.
nice
That's a masterpiece.
To be honest with you guys, I'm happy to be out of the house after the 18 hours of Facebookery this afternoon. Yep, just the 18 hours for me today. I have no memory of what I was doing before Facebook. Something was there. I was doing, what was it, tilling wheat? What was I doing? Now it's just Facebook. And I like it, but I have a theory about it that you can use in your own conversations if there's ever a lull. I think the government made Facebook in an attempt to make privacy uncool. Think about that. I think that's true. Because they don't have to tap our phones or survey us when we just yield to them everything. Just on our own free will, just like home address, it's a little weird, okay. Phone number, call me. Photos? Photos of everyone I know? Here, let me tag those for you. That's Adam. He deals weed.
Pete Holmes!
God! We've been talking for like 10 minutes.
Have to move into the mic a little bit.
Can I take it out?
Yes, you can.
We've been talking for like 10 minutes. Is this okay, level-wise?
Yep.
And like, how many times did I say, save it for the podcast?
A bunch of
Save it
times.
for air, man.
But that's what happens when you're with cool people, is that,
Yeah, but
and by
when
that
does
I
that
mean you're
happen?
cool.
Yeah.
You end up getting in great conversations. You know, the plague of the world is that so many people allow themselves to be surrounded by vampires, and so they end up they end up lost in a series of shit conversations. Their whole life is
my
one
God.
shit conversation to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next,
Yes.
to the next, until they're on their deathbed. And that's the one real conversation they have, is right before they die. They finally say, I love you so much, I don't want you to die. And then you die.
Oh my God! This is a free podcast.
Yeah.
already worth $10.
Yeah, send the money, guys. There's a donate button if you're,
Is there?
If you're on
You
your
should.
deathbed, if you're on your deathbed, donate.
Vampires.
Yeah, vampires.
I have a lot of material about if you're in a horrible conversation, how to get out of it. And I'm not alone. Jerry Seinfeld actually has a really funny bit, now that I think about it, where he's like, if he's ever in like an asinine discussion with somebody, he's always thinking, what if I just dove out the window right now? Dove out the window on the second floor, rolled on the grass, and just came back up and resumed the conversation.
Yes.
It's that like, I don't know, I don't think it's just comedians. I think it's a large number of us that are just like intolerant of horrible personalities, just like an artificial person that isn't showing you who they really are. You're not getting. We were just talking about the right time to kiss a girl.
Yes.
And the pheromone that's released.
Yes.
Something's happening. You smell it, and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to act on this."
Yeah.
And some people conversationally just aren't releasing any pheromones.
Anything.
They've just
blank.
blocked off.
Blank walls.
It's so sad.
Just a blank. Blank nothing.
It's
It is
tragic.
sad.
It's a disease.
But you know what? I will take a closed off person who's not releasing any pheromones for the opposite of that, which is a person who's just an asshole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The mean person.
Yes.
The mean person who's like in a conversation where you're with them. This is something I've been thinking about lately. You know, like the people who go, "Did you just get out of the shower?" You know what I'm talking about? Like, "Oh, was your hair wet? Did you just get out of the shower? Is your hair wet?"
Is that something you get?
Yeah, because I'll get out of because sometimes I don't dry my. I'll just I don't think about it. I get out of the shower, my hair's wet.
Yes.
I'll go somewhere and this one's like, "Hey, would you just get out of the shower? Hair's wet. Hair's wet."
That guy. I think it's funny that we call those guys dicks. That's what I was thinking. There's something. It's perfect.
Yeah.
They're a big dick.
Just a dick.
Fucking everything.
Bad personality. And their friends who they've been horrifying, and they've been a kind of open ulcer in a social circle for years and years. Their friends, when you mention that guy's a dick, they're like, no. You'll get used to it. You'll get used to Jason.
Just yield to him.
You'll totally get used to him. Yeah, no. He's a weird personality, you know, but he's
Yes.
It's like, no, he's
Yes.
a dick and he needs to be corrected, because if he had bad breath,
Yes.
totally wouldn't be tolerated. You know what I mean? Like if he had stinky, awful breath.
Yep. Someone would tell him.
Someone would be like, you should brush your teeth more.
I'm a nose hair person. How do you tell your guy friends that they have horrible nose hair?
Just say it.
situation? Fucking A, man. You're like Kramer. I need help, Duncan.
Say
Can
it.
I be like you?
Do you have a nose hair? If let me tell you, if the worst problem among your friends is this nose hair,
Yes.
you're doing great, man.
Yeah, that's true. I have a delightful friend, and I just wanted to be like, yeah, you know what? I'll do it.
Tell him on the air. Tell him right now.
No
I'm
fucking
just kidding.
way. That would be so humiliating.
Brendan Walsh.
That's a good guess
Yeah.
of who it could be. His nose hair just merges into the
Yeah.
mustache. There's no end to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just it is his mustache. It's just his
It's-
nose hair
oh my
running down
God.
like a waterfall over his lips of pubic hair.
You just get out of the shower.
just go to the shower, bro.
What is that in aid of?
Well, what that is it's a form of suppression. It's a form of it's a dominance thing. So
Is it?
Oh yeah.
It's like an alpha thing.
It's an alpha thing. They're trying to dominate you by making you submit, because the only way you can respond, there's two ways you can respond to that.
You've thought about it.
Because your hair is wet.
Yes.
So you either say, yeah, I did.
Right.
I did just get out of the shower.
Right.
Or and then you have to do this thing like, yeah, I know. I guess I should have
Right.
timed the shower better. Is
Right.
that what you're saying? That you don't like my shower timing?
Are you criticizing how I planned my evening
Yeah.
in regards to showering?
Yeah, that's
I'm
it.
sorry I didn't dry off.
Yeah.
He's basically calling you weak or something.
Yeah.
And I guess the only way to spin it in some sort of junior high instinct that I'm having is it would only work in junior high. Like, yeah, I showered. What, you don't shower? Like to
Yeah.
kind of like put it back
So
on
now
him.
you're forced to sling the negativity back.
Right, exactly.
So now you're involved in the contagion that
Yes.
because he's festering, and
Right.
the moment you throw it back to him, you're festering, and now you're both festering. So now you've gotten infected by his foulness.
Right. Yes.
So that's
But that's a loss in itself, is participating in that sort of negativity.
Yeah.
But like, I'm thinking about movies, something about like the way that guys fence with each other in that scene. If you're the hero and we
Yes.
want to make you likable,
Yeah.
someone says, "What did you just get out of the shower?" And there are girls there. That's important.
Yeah.
You say something perfect.
Right.
You say something that's not negative, but is hilarious, self-effacing maybe,
Yeah.
and also charming.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but you say it, the girls laugh and they go with you, and Dickbag is left in his Letterman jacket.
Yeah, well, that would be awesome in that fantasy world, but in reality, you're just with a dick, and you're probably going to hang out with that person for the rest of the night, and they're going to do stupid shit all night. And by the end of the night, you'll come home feeling like you just got dragged through the mud.
Yeah.
The only solution to this is like courageously, abandoning people like that from your life and cutting them out completely.
Yeah.
And relegating them to the fringes of society.
That's very Levitical of you. That
It's
sounds like an
Levitical.
old Jewish law.
Yeah.
Douchebags will be exiled
Yes.
from the town.
That's right. They must be. You got to
Or stoned.
tar and feather. They need to be driven into the
Humiliated
and driven into the forest, and that's where they belong, because for so long our society is become so acceptant to the fucking dicks of the
Yes.
world. I'm like all this. There's people who like parade up and down the street at soldiers' funerals, angry at homosexuals. If we could apply that same energy to people who ask if you just took a shower, like it's that.
You're applauding the energy behind the
Yeah.
God Hates Fags
Yeah.
movement. It's just misplaced.
Misplaced
Let's
energy.
take that
Yeah.
away from soldiers
Yeah.
and whatever and
Yeah.
put it on the douchebags.
Dicks.
What I'm wondering is what they do while they're all together. We put them on the outskirts of town,
Yeah.
and do they just stand in a circle and ask who just showered?
Yeah. That's what they do. They just.
It's hard to tell when you have a crew cut, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They have.
That dries instantly.
They try to dominate each other. They do stupid jokes, or they like.
See, I bet you have. I've said this about you, is that you're one of the most interesting people in the world.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you too.
You're a jukebox, and you put a coin in on any topic, and you have. That's what I fucking am looking for. You understand?
Yeah.
I need people who have opinions. I can't stand opinionless. And you
Yeah.
know why? Because I have spent a lot of my life opinionless because I'm so
Right.
terrified of offending someone. I still do it.
Yes.
So I'll just be like leaving a movie. There's the kind of guy that leaves, and then you're like, "What did you think?" Like if you're like, "What did you like the movie?" And I'm like, "What did you think?" And they see what they thought first.
Yes.
Trying to get over that. Fucking own it. I didn't like the movie.
Yes.
And then just deal with the repercussions.
Yeah.
Doesn't make me a bad person.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I wanted to ask you about was crew cuts.
Yes.
There has to be something you think about crew cuts, because we were talking about how humans are like bonobos.
Yes.
And what the crew cut, because you're an interesting person and you have a beard.
Yeah.
And you have longer hair.
Yes.
And a crew cut seems to be like this rebellion against, like you look more like a man in the wild.
Right.
Like a natural person, I suppose.
Yeah.
And a crew cut is almost like a machine did this.
Sure.
Like it looks like a machine.
Yeah.
did it. There were no crew cuts in medieval times.
Well, they didn't have the technology.
They couldn't do it.
They didn't have it.
We don't have
What are they going to fucking use?
the
Like,
crew cut technology.
they'd have to use a sword, or I guess they had.
I was
sharp,
picturing swords.
They had sharp blades, I guess.
Flames.
Well, they had, and they were, and the crew cuts would have been very flames. That's how they used to cut hair in medieval times. They just shove your fucking head into a fire.
What you'd do is you'd shave your head, and at 3 weeks for a month, you'd have a perfect crew cut, and people would be like, "How did you do that?" And you're like, "Well, you got to start from zero. You got to take it all off because we don't have."
Yeah, right.
He says because we don't have the technology.
have
How
a-
is he aware that there will one day?
That's how one day we will have the technology to do crew cuts, but we don't have it yet.
But-
in the same way we think we might have time machines one day, back then people would fantasize
Duncan.
about the era of crew cuts.
Can I tell you something insane?
Sure.
I was just thinking about time travel. Maybe it's because I thought we were doing this.
Yeah.
Or knew we were doing this. But I was driving here, and I was like, it's weird to think that I would be a crazy person, and I bet you won't think I'm a crazy person, if I say that maybe this is the whole thought.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I'm a little scattered.
No.
I would like to be the kind of person people travel back in time to see. That's the thought I had.
Yeah.
I know that's insane, but like, it's
great.
It's also great.
What a great thing to want.
It's a healthy ego
Yeah,
sort of
very.
appreciation of myself.
Beautiful.
I'd really like people to be like, can you imagine going back and just watching Pete eat at a diner or whatever? Like,
Yeah.
how would he talk to a waitress?
Yeah.
That is interesting in the way that I think about people from the past and be
Sure.
like, can you imagine seeing that guy? So then I started thinking, what if people are coming back and
Yes.
seeing me? And then what if it's just like you can go back in time, but people understand the premium is on not appearing as if you're traveling through time. People are aware that will really fuck shit up.
Yes.
So they blend in perfectly.
Yep.
I see people all the time who I'm just like, who's that guy?
Right.
And then I was like, oh, I'm having a crazy thought. This is like something that you say, and people are like, you're insane. Like, that's a crazy
You've
thing.
gone schizophrenic.
Exactly. Your
mind's fragmenting.
Yeah. You
That's
said
what
that
they
to me
said.
once. You went, your third eye is opening up. You
Yeah,
said that
I've
to me
said
once.
that.
You
That's
said
true.
that to
When
me.
your third eye starts opening up, you begin to have thoughts like what you're having right now.
Yeah.
And then the response from the vampires inevitably is you've gone nuts.
The vampires.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got with that. Okay, I think my therapist would say paranoid people. You can't really console them because you can't prove that a jet engine isn't going to fall on us right now. You can't.
Nope.
But you make a psychological decision to not worry about that all the time.
Right.
But you get in a problem where you start debating with them because you can't prove it.
Yeah.
You can't prove that people aren't talking shit about you right now, currently. So you could worry about that or move on. But there's also, where was I going with that?
I think I could prove that people are talking shit about me right now, I imagine.
Yeah. You mean how?
Because
online?
You too, man. It would be pretty easy. All I have to do is go on any fucking video. I play anything.
So that's true. That's provable.
Yes.
But then the thing that sounds crazy is like you can't prove I'm wrong.
Sure.
You also can't prove that, lots of things.
Prove you're wrong about the idea that there could be
I
time
see
travelers.
that there are time travelers. I used to, and I'm not saying that I think that. I'm covering my tracks because I don't want to
Well, no,
sound
it's
crazy.
I call these things thought experiments. It's like in the laboratory of your mind, you do thought experiments.
It's a thought experiment.
It's a thought experiment. It's so fun.
I
It's
just
so
let
fun to
the
do.
line out a little bit. I still feel the rope in my hand, but it's atop my hand and it's burning a little bit. And I want to close my hand and bring it back.
No way. Let it go all the way out. Let the rope get sucked away. You want to get sucked out into the deep water, man. That's
do.
the idea.
I do.
That's where you got to go. See, the vampires, they'll keep you in the fucking harbor of sorrows. They'll convince you you can't sail your ship into the deep waters. They'll try to keep your fucking anchor down.
Well, this is what we were talking about off mic, is the idea that I was raised Christian.
Yes.
And I'm very interested in your thoughts on that because, like, that is a means to kind of keep me in a certain system of thought.
Right.
Which is like, I'm not saying that Christians don't think things like maybe they're time travelers. I don't think that's exclusive.
It depends on the branch of
faith,
Christianity.
I guess.
Well, no guessing about it. I mean, if you get into I've just been reading this great book called Magic, Marijuana, and I can't remember that. It's right over there. It's an excellent book. I found it's a rare book, but it's the premise that most world religions have their roots in.
I'm sorry, I'm writing a short story where a young boy comes into your house and reads all your books and his mind explodes. I was just like, you just took me out.
One day that will be my son. I want to have a kid, but not to get to that point. The idea is. A lot of religions have their roots in psychedelics and Christianity too, and so Gnostic Christianity. Have you ever gone to a Gnostic Christian church service?
No. What do you mean? What does that mean?
Gnostic
just
Christianity means gnosis. Gnosis means the idea of true contact with. Contact with truth. It means contact with truth. So what you have in Christianity, in a lot of different forms of Christianity, is not the invitation to connect with real truth. It's the invitation to connect with a symbol system. And so it's like fucking the difference between going swimming and reading about going swimming. It's two different things.
So the Gnostic one is we're just going to read about going
the Gnostic
swimming?
one's like you got to make contact with the higher intelligence, and it's a real thing. It's not it's like you really you really do it, and the higher intelligence is something that is basically their idea is that this entire world is a veil,
yes,
resting over the Christ energy. And so the world is concealing us at this very moment from Jesus being crucified on the cross, the Son of God, which represents the manifestation of consciousness into the infinite from the Big Bang, which we're all a part of, experiencing the moment of the crucifixion where Jesus looks into the air and says, Father, Father,
get into your Caviezel voice.
Why hast thou forsaken me?
Yes.
That's the existential moment of human experience. That's what all the existentialists wrote about when they said the essential component of a human being is nothingness, that we are just nothing. There's nothing to us. That's why we're called human being. We have to be, we have to act act and define ourselves constantly through our own action. It's
Yes.
absurdity, and underneath it all is just emptiness, right? So Gnostic Christianity is this idea that that experience is literally the experience of the crucifixion, which we're all taking part of that awful sense of abandonment, and we don't know where we're going, we don't know where we came from, we don't know what to do, and so it goes fucking deep, man. And
Like we're participating in Christ's bewilderment of that moment.
the idea is like, so now this is all of this is just symbol structures. It's all fingers pointing to something to try to get you out of the fucking harbor of sorrows and into the deep water, man. That's all it is.
I want out so bad. I
know.
don't think I'm in it, but I take little dips into it. Of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Go on, please.
Well, no, I mean, so the idea, So the idea is that like, these are all symbols. So you've got the ideas. You have if there was a supreme intelligence of the universe, and if for whatever reason it incarnated in the form of some kind of perfect human, and if that person was in the process of dying or getting crucified, then the psychic energy being released from that moment would be a form of spiritual Big Bang that we're all still experiencing, which is why they, date. It's one of the major.
why we switched the calendar?
Yeah, because it's such a potent moment that it's reverberating through the collective mind of humanity. It really is. I mean, it's like wars are being fought over it, and crazy shit's happening from this moment when whatever this thing was happened. So, which we're all a part of. So the idea is, what's the next thing that Jesus says after Father, into your hands I commit?
It is finished.
No, he says, Father. Yeah, no, isn't the last thing he says, Father, into your hands I commend
my spirit?
Yeah.
He does say that, but then I'm pretty sure his last words were, it is finished.
It is finished. That's it. So that's the idea. That's the moment of enlightenment. So that's the idea of like, you start off, if we're all following the same moment, if we're all Christ being crucified, then our spiritual paths are taking the same sort of archetypical structure where it starts off with this being flogged by the world. We're like being bounced around by a ping pong ball through circumstance. Flogged down the street, flogged in our lives. We're helpless, empty things. Then we end up nailed to a fucking cross surrounded by robbers. And, of course, the robbers represent the past and the future. So the past and the future, thinking about the past or thinking about the future, steal the time from the present. So it's like past, present, future. That's the symbol of.
Whoa.
And so then you're surrounded by robbers in the moment of truth.
What the fuck is happening?
Fucking
Keep
Gnostic
going, keep
Christianity,
going,
baby.
keep going.
Come on. And then you fucking you end up having finally to take the ultimate leap of faith. And what that means is you got to pull up the anchor on your fucking ship, set your sails into the wind, and say goodbye to all those vampires in the harbor of sorrows.
You're tying it all in.
Sail into the fucking
You mean die?
Die to this world. You must die to this world to come to know me. Isn't that what Christ said? You must die to this world. See, what happens is these fucking loon worshipers, the fucking crazy cultists who've taken this energy and converted it into some kind of weird vampire religion. When it's a vampire religion. They all dress up in fucking the god clowns. They dress up in priest outfits and parade around.
God clowns.
Ridiculous people, right?
Oh my God!
So, when you hear something like "you must die to this world to come to know me," this does not mean every fucking Sunday at the 7-Eleven you give someone 20 cents or whatever.
Right.
This is a radical invitation to. He said, "Die." That doesn't. It's not like you got to sort of just be cool or you got to pray every once. It's death.
The biggest thing.
The biggest thing. You have to die.
Yeah, I actually thought you were going to say the ultimate leap of faith that we all take is dying. That's
Yeah.
also something I think about all the time. I don't want to interrupt you.
No,
though.
you please, dude. That was way too long.
No, that
Sorry.
was fucking mind-melding.
Thank you.
Melting. I loved it. Past and future robbing us.
Yeah.
And the present.
That's
and
us.
it's also refreshing. I'm sorry to have shortchanged you in my mind. I thought you would just be dismissive and be like, it's stupid. But it seems to me that you have an appreciation of the message. A finger pointing to something.
Absolutely. It's the most beautiful religion ever. The symbols are so beautiful and perfect. It's wonderful. It's radical. It's incredible. I mean, that's why I get so infuriated with these fucking
the vampires.
The loons, the people who worship the loon, because they're shitting on it for everyone else. Because then you get all these people who are like, the moment you even bring up the idea of Jesus to them, they're like, no, they just shut down. I'm an atheist. Don't want to hear it. Don't want to talk about it. Hate the idea. Shut up.
Let me ask you this,
Sure.
though. I want to talk about the leap of faith. That's a beautiful way to put dying, by the way. Because I live in fear of that a lot. You know why? I don't like to do anything alone. If you and I died together and we figured it out together, like, I'm not saying we do a suicide pact. I'm just saying the thought, like, that when you die, you find out alone. That's your moment to die.
Yeah.
But if putting faith into that, being like, it's a leap of faith to go into that. Of course you go alone. You have all this time to kind of prepare your mind and your soul or your spirit or whatever to that moment, and then you have to embrace the fact that you're like, this is a leap of faith. I'm putting my sail up, and I'm commending, or whatever Christ said, I'm surrendering my soul to God.
Commend my spirit into your hands. I commend my spirit.
Here it goes, and I'm gone. See you later.
Gone.
The curtain rips, and there's an earthquake.
Did you mean to say the curtain rips?
Yeah, that's what happened.
Oh, yeah, right. Oh, yeah. Because the curtain rips.
Curtain, you're thinking about the curtain rips between.
Is the veil covering? That's the veil they talk about in Gnostic Christianity. It's the veil covering. It's the.
How have I? I'm 32. I've never heard of Gnostic Christianity.
Well, you won't. It's these things are. The world is filled with these things, and it's and there are all these different people who've got the plug in, they've plugged in, and they're not like us, man. We're like, we're exhibitionists, man. We like fucking sticking our heads out into the marketplace and like screaming and making faces at it, and it's fun. That's what we do.
God, what a privilege.
Yeah.
It's a privilege.
It's a privilege, and it's fun, man. And it's a joy to do. But some people, what happens is, it's kind of like, okay, let's imagine that you're in it. Let's imagine that, like, you suddenly realize that this life where you're a comedian and a very funny one at that, if suddenly you began to realize that this was a dream. You're in the middle of a dream right now. You're truly dreaming, and you begin to realize that you're dreaming, and you actually wake up for a second. And when you wake up, just in the same way that whenever you've been having any kind of dream, when you wake up, it's always this sense of like, oh, wow, that was just a dream. No matter what it is, you're like, oh, that was just a dream.
Yeah.
Right? So some people, that happens to them in life while they're alive. They wake up to their true identity, which is a manifestation of the super intelligence of the universe, and they wake up to that. They really wake up to it. And their instinct is not, I'm going to go back in that fucking dream where I was this limited thing and I was scared of everything and I didn't know what I was going to do and I was confused. They're just like, I'm done. Finished. Did it. Don't need to go back in there anymore. I'm done.
And then they die?
Well, no, they go into the fucking Himalayas. They could be anywhere. They could be walking through a grocery store. They just don't feel the need to be like, I'm enlightened. I did it, everybody. Because it doesn't matter. Because you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. They just don't feel the need. And it's the time travelers you're talking about, you know?
They're playing it cool.
They're playing it cool.
It actually does kind of creepily go back, or not creepily, interestingly go back to the idea that they're like, yeah, I'm a phenomenal thing.
Yeah.
And I'm also eating mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Because that's what I do.
That's what I do.
You'd think, though, that if you woke up from this reality and experienced that you would want to proselytize it. You would want to tell everybody.
One of the greatest, and I can't remember the name of it now, but a very famous work of Zen, like a book written by a Zen master. Damn it, I wish I could remember the name.
See, just that phrase, there are books written by Zen masters.
Yeah.
And I'm rewatching Breaking Bad.
It's okay, though.
I know.
You know
I love
what,
Breaking
man?
Bad.
Breaking Bad's awesome.
But I'm just saying, of course, when you said that, I was like, of course Zen masters write books.
But some of them don't, but some of them do. And this one in the foreword, he writes, he's complaining. And in the beginning he writes, I want to take naps more, but people keep coming to like the monastery I'm at to try to talk to me.
He wants to nap more.
Yeah, he wants to nap more. So he wrote one of the greatest, I can't remember the name of it, but like a really
He
great,
wrote the book so people would stop coming?
just please, yeah. Leave me alone. He just wanted to be alone. He didn't want to deal with the idea is, and I'm certainly on the side of the coin where I consider myself to be an individual, but the idea is that there's two sides of the coin. One side, you're an individual entity separated from matter in time and space, considering yourself to be an individual atomic component of society. And that in that place, that's when you get really caught up in all the weird shit. You know, I'm going to get rich and get a car and get a good. I'm scared. I'm horny or whatever. You get caught up in all that stuff, right?
What a perfect description of what we're doing.
That's me. I just like talking about how I feel. But
ever since I said mac and cheese, I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I have actually been trying to write a bit that is so up your alley
What's the
about
bit?
how we don't care about space. Please remember what you were about to say.
Yeah, I will.
I don't want to sidetrack you. But how we don't care about space. I do this bit about how it's absurd that we're on a planet, right?
Yeah.
And I just keep reminding people that we're on a planet.
Yes.
And I was like, you parked your car on a planet.
Yeah.
Your house is on a planet.
Sure.
Just pull your perspective out a little bit
Yeah.
and we're on a fucking space rock.
Yeah.
And it's insane.
Yeah.
I'm saying this currently
Yeah.
on a planet.
Yeah.
You're listening to it on a planet.
Yeah.
And people don't give a fuck because we're horny and we're hungry.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
If that's why, and the stupid part of me, I will never do this on stage, but I'll say it to you now, is that I was like, that's why we said the moon was made of cheese. Because we didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
We were like, it's the moon. Who cares? It's made of cheese. Sounds delicious. Like,
Yeah.
I'm listening now.
Sure.
I will never do that on stage, but like, I think there's some truth. We only care about food and fucking.
we care about food and fucking, and
Not only, but I guess.
we care.
It's
you
in
know,
the way.
What we care about is the feeling that comes after eating a good meal or after having a great fuck. And that feeling is, or the feeling of during a great fuck, that's a feeling of unification. And after a great meal, it's a feeling of fulfillment. People want to feel fulfilled and unified. That's the most thing and that they want. They're not going to get that from fucking Jupiter. They're not going to get it from space. You know? So even if you could.
Fucking hell, man. You're right.
Yeah, they just.
There's nothing for us out there in terms of this.
Dude, an asshole gets onto the plane in New York. An asshole gets off. Well, I should say an asshole gets onto a spaceship in New York.
Yeah.
An asshole gets off of a spaceship on Mars. It's
Yeah.
like doesn't matter where the fuck you go.
Yeah.
You could go to like this is something some Hare Krishna monk told me once. He's like, they believe in higher spiritual planes. They believe that there's actual what they call spiritual planets, which is probably a rudimentary way of describing something. But he was like, if you took a person from this dimension and you put them in one of the higher spiritual planets, they might think that they were in hell. They might be absolutely miserable there because they haven't taken care of the grosser, more basic kind of fundamental
Fucking
hang-ups.
brilliant.
Yeah, it was fucking smart.
Fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Jesus,
Fucking
man.
smart, man.
Because it's almost like they didn't do the work,
Yeah.
so then they go into this place, and it seems like hell because of who they are.
Yeah, I mean,
They're not being tortured.
This
per
is
se.
what we call what happens when you bring a 9-year-old to Paris. It's like if you and I go to Paris, it's going to be fucking awesome. You know?
Yes.
When I went to Paris with Natasha, I remember you would see these kids, and they looked like they were being crucified. Like they were just like, what the
Another
fuck?
museum.
Oh,
More cheese.
yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah, just
Leave me be.
get us out of here.
We got to go back to that nap guy, but yes, keep going.
Well, yeah,
I'm
man.
just fast. I was thinking about the kid. He just wants to nap.
Yeah.
By the way, that sounds like an enlightened person to me.
What's that?
That they're like, I want to nap more.
Right.
We could. I bet you're a good dreamer. Are you a good dreamer?
What do you mean? Like, do I have
dream
dreams?
well?
Yeah, I sometimes have some pretty great dreams. Do you have pretty good dreams?
Something I work on. Alcohol gets in the way. Alcohol actually
Yeah.
robs us of our dreams. It's like one of the things it
I
does.
didn't know that.
I've been
That makes
told
sense.
that like I read somewhere, and here I am saying it like it's gospel, but it's like I read somewhere that if you don't dream, you should stop drinking as much.
Wow.
I dream and I drink. So like imagine.
Great name for a book.
Yeah, I dream and I drink. thing. Somehow we have to emphasize the and. But I am a good dreamer. I love talking about dreaming, and that's another thing that people immediately glaze over and don't want to talk about for some reason. But I'm really interested in the fact that there's this place. Some of my dreams have been like good mushroom trips. In fact, I often dream that I'm taking mushrooms, and in my dream, I will trip. It will be.
Oh, sure.
I'll have the physical feeling. My body will release it.
Yeah.
It'll make it happen.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre thing, and I'll start seeing the visuals and everything, and I'm like, this is exactly like mushrooms. It's not. It's not reading about swimming. I'm swimming right now. And it's a dream.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested in a world that, like, I've taken a 15-minute nap and had a dream that was like just so epic and fulfilling that when I woke up, I felt like I had slept for 6 weeks.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I was just like, ooh, I'm interested in that. I'm interested in what happened.
What was the dream? What was the dream? Do you remember the?
I do remember the dream, and it wasn't even that good. The dream is often like, see, I think you'll have to humor me because I bet you'll be interested in this. Most people I would be like, you don't want to hear this.
You got to stop hanging out with those people.
Vampire!
Yeah, you got some
Or
vamps.
I think I have to stop assuming they're those people. I told you that in therapy, that's what I work on, is apologizing for how I'm feeling all the time.
Right.
That's why I'd love to, like, we should start a commune. I'll be your disciple.
No, what?
I just what a perfect thing for a leader to say. You're my disciple. I'm your disciple.
No leader here, man. No leader here.
That's right. I believe you. But okay, so in my dream, often I'll start dreaming before I fall asleep. That's a key. So you're closing your eyes. I love talking about this. You close your eyes and you try and remember that if you think of an orange, if you try and picture an orange, you are seeing it. There it is.
Right.
But like it's ethereal. It's see-through. It's hard to really get your mind on it. But then if you realize you are seeing it, you just have to shift your eyes, for lack of a better way, into that vision. You know what I mean? Stop looking at the back of your eyelids and realize that the scope of it is actually deeper. There's a depth to it. Now, it should start looking like an IMAX screen. You realize that it's not just your eyelids. It's behind you, too.
Right.
It's in front of you. It's beside you. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And then keep trying to dream before you're asleep. So you can make it whatever you want. If you're horny, you can be like, I want to fuck a girl.
Yeah.
I can picture a naked woman perfectly as I'm falling asleep. Perfectly. It's amazing. And it's not in the way that you'd see one standing there. It's like you're a fly and she's gigantic.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's amazing. And now you're starting to get the sense of what your mind can do.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating. I don't want to say it's not frustrating. They'll disappear.
Sure.
It'll flicker away. You'll get distracted. And then sometimes you just fall asleep and you don't have anything happen.
Right.
And that happens. And you can't beat yourself up about that. But then sometimes you start dreaming and you fall asleep. You realize you're asleep. And then the key is to realize that you're dreaming. And I remember I was in this like house, kind of like this house actually. And there was a magician. It was like a party. There's a magician. And I was just like, oh, I'm dreaming. I need to like wake up. I need to like get control of this dream. I don't know, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know why I didn't just realize I'm dreaming. I already have control. But I realized I had to go to another place.
Yeah.
And it's often behind a couch. So I look behind the couch, and what I'm looking for, and I've never talked about this, is I'm looking for the feeling of being transported. It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
And I look, and for some reason, my rudimentary understanding of this experience is I need to find it.
Yeah.
Really, I just need to realize it's already happening.
Sure.
But that's like a lot of things.
Yeah.
I want a symbol.
Yeah.
I want to think it's behind the couch. Right. So I look behind the couch, and fucking man, it feels like a jet engine. I mean, physically, it feels like a jet engine. On me, my body, my person. It's my mind making me think.
What do you mean it feels like a jet engine? Describe that.
It feels like there's air blowing me down.
Yes. Right.
A huge fan
Yeah.
blowing me down. And I know this because I'm dreaming and I'm awake a little bit. So I know what my body is doing.
What's your body doing?
I'm laying flat on my back like a pharaoh.
Yeah. What do you mean, like, if so you cross your arms?
I cross my arms a little bit. I do this weird thing with my hands.
A mudra.
I don't know what that means.
It's a hand gesture that, like, focuses your psychic energy.
Oh, I just do that. I just do that.
You do it naturally because you got
it.
amnesia. Because a past incarnation, you were clearly some kind of warlock.
Why don't I listen to this podcast? I'm going to listen to this podcast.
Please
I have
do.
never done a no offense to the other podcasts, but I've never done a podcast where I so profoundly felt simultaneously enjoying doing it, and I have to listen to it.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Because I'd like to think I'd read all the books you're going to read. I'm not going to.
Listen,
I'd like to think I would.
I'm going to tell you, keep going with what you're saying,
Yeah, I
but
won't
there's a
forget.
lot of, like, aspects of what you're saying that are are like have been written about in a lot of different books. There's a
Really?
great book called Journeys Out of the Body by Robert Monroe.
Great.
There's also the thing, and the thing that you're talking
You
about.
have to give me a reading list. I'm not joking.
The thing about visualization, about the seeing something clearly in your mind that you've just been kind of like brushing over as a kind of just something you do, you know, where you can visualize this thing and you see it really clearly and then you go backwards from it.
Yes.
That is, I've just been reading about it in Aleister Crowley's it's called Book 4, and it's his book of the basics of learning to become like learning magic or learning real magic. And so it's a visualization. You begin to develop your ability to perfectly visualize objects in a meditative state.
Yes.
So that's what you're doing.
That is what I'm trying to do.
Only you're thinking you're doing it when you're going to sleep.
Yeah.
But if you just tweak it a little bit and recognize really what you're doing is you're focusing your will to manifest specific types of reality. And once you get in there, that's where you could really start doing some work.
Fucking hell, man. That's fantastic.
It's cool shit, but I can't do it. I mean, that's the thing.
It works better for naps, I'd say. That's another tip.
I can't. I used to be able to do it, man, but to be able to do that's really tough. It's a hard thing to focus.
Well, that's what's interesting about you saying past life sort of stuff. That's why that delighted me so much. Is that I've always had a natural ability to do it. I'm not, saying that makes me super cool or special, but I remember being a kid and I was very bored. So I'd go to bed well before I was tired.
Yeah.
Go to bed at like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be tired until 10 o'clock. So I had 2 hours of just laying there and entertaining myself with dreams, trying to fuck with my dreams, trying to control. Ever since I was a kid, I knew to wake myself up from any dream. This was I'm like 8 years old. There's a button on my back. No matter what, there's a button on my back. So I just have to slam my back against a wall and I'll wake up. And my brain just accepted that as a thing. So I'd be having a horrible nightmare, but if I slammed my back on the wall, I'd wake up. And it's great. Which is weird because your subconscious is like, no, we're going to torment you. And you're like, but there's this rule. And for some reason,
no one does that. These are like tricks that are like occult tricks. They're all like weird tricks.
that I did as a kid.
You did as a kid, just like I think that's kind of like what the West is. I think the West is like filled with people who like for whatever reason we're going for it, and we're on the verge of some like big realization, and then they're like, man, I'm just gonna fuck that. I should just fuck that girl, and then they forgot about it. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
It's so funny how that does get in the way. We were talking about how. And I'm going to get back to the dream thing. Yes. We have a lot of irons in the fire right now. But it's like the idea that sex does get in the way of almost everything.
Yeah, if used improperly.
It's a wonderful thing. I'm a single man, and it's the first time that I've been a single man. And
me too.
It's interesting. Yes, it's interesting how much of your energy it takes. I'm not saying that a relationship's main feature is that you can just stop looking for women.
Yeah.
But it is part of it.
Oh,
you can put your energy to better things. You can hopefully put that energy to that relationship. But then, like someone was like, "How was South by Southwest or whatever?" And I was like, "It was great." And like this isn't this year. Just in case
you can
fucking
qualify
paranoid.
it. Good.
How was some festival or something? And if you're looking for a girl or whatever, it's going to be different than if you had a girlfriend and you were just hanging out with
absolutely
Kyle Kinane the whole time.
Think how much Listen,
I'm so fucking paranoid. I'm just saying I'm not complaining that that's what happened. Hanging out with.
Listen, if you're hungry.
Yep.
It doesn't matter where you are. All you're going to be thinking about is fucking food.
Right.
It's the worst. It's like if you're just really, really hungry, I don't care where. You can go to the most beautiful garden in the world. I could take you to the Taj Mahal. We can go wherever. And no matter how beautiful the thing is, you're still going to be like, man, I'm fucking hungry.
Exactly.
I'm fucking hungry. This is great. This guy's cool.
Yes.
You could be hanging out with the fucking Dalai Lama.
Right.
And still be like, God, I just really.
If I was hungry right now, that's all I'd be able to think about.
So the sex drive is a form of hunger.
Yes.
And when it's not being satisfied, it amplifies and accelerates.
That's fucking exactly what's happening.
Yeah, it sucks.
So it sucks, and it's also great to eat that meal because you're like, food.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't live in a restaurant anymore, relationship. Yeah. So you're in the wild, and you find some fucking food, and it's amazing.
Yes.
And you're so happy. And I would actually say that the smile on your face after meeting somebody new and, that happens in the wild outside of a relationship, that's a different quality of happiness.
Yes.
It's also there's a little bit of fleetingness to it, and there's a little bit of sadness to it. I
Well, that's
suppose,
where
as
you
well.
train your mind, because when it's happening, your mind will go to this point where you're like, "This is gonna end soon.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't want it to end."
Yeah.
Because it's like being at the fucking Sizzler buffet and not being able to enjoy it because you're like, you got to leave. You can't, you're. But you got to just enjoy it, man. And so much of life is like the fleeting. Everything in life is fleeting like that, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the sex drive is
in the way.
It's in. Well, no,
But it's also delightful.
But
if I lost my sex drive, I'd fucking want to kill myself.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's just something that's got to be focused in the right way,
Yes.
and not diffused, and not like you just have to focus.
When I'm in relationships, I do focus. I have the ability to shift my focus to comedy in a different way. You know what I mean? Because that's taken care of. I know that's like the least romantic thing to say, but it is. It's taken care of. I have my partner, and then I'll focus. But also when I'm single, I'm allowed to be really selfish and focus on comedy in a different way. But I'm missing that sort of nurturing, lovey, musy sort of thing.
Yep. Yeah, I know. It's all based on, both sides of that are based on this idea, and it's something I struggle with, which is, do you need a person in your life to feel happy?
Yeah.
Or can that happiness be obtained from within?
I fucking am embarrassed to tell you this, but I'll tell you it.
Please.
Something that I'm working on, and I got it from fucking Tony Robbins.
He's the best.
Okay, I'm not here to apologize, but every instinct I have is to apologize, is to be like, I'm sorry. But he...
That's because you've been fucking hammered, but you've been getting kicked
I
around
know.
by the vamps.
I think I have some vamps, or at least I think I grew up maybe with vamps or whatever. Anyway, I love motivational stuff like that.
Me too.
I do what they tell me to do.
Yes.
I'll buy it. And one of the things I do is in the morning I walk, and I do it alone, and it's kind of like a hike because it's uphill. And one of the things, it sounds crazy, I guess. I see him qualifying it, but he's like, you can kind of condition yourself to think things.
Yes.
And he's like, you can choose some of the things you want to repeat to yourself, just in your mind or whatever. And one of them is, all the love I need is in me now. That's what I say.
That's great.
And I say it all the time, and I change the thing. I go, all the wisdom I need, all the love I need, all the power I need, all the confidence I need. And I say every day, in every way, I'm getting stronger.
Better and better.
Stronger and stronger. I do stronger and stronger. I do funnier and funnier. I do...
every day in every way, I'm getting funnier and funnier.
Funnier
That's
and funnier.
great.
I fuck it up. I know it's weird to say that you're trying to be charming, but that's part of my life. I want to be like a charming person.
Yeah.
Say I'm getting more and more charming. It's nice. It's
Yeah.
just saying it just
It's the
right
best.
now makes me feel good.
Yeah.
So like that's one of those things is one of his big things is that you don't go to a relationship to get, you go to a relationship to give.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That's the juice.
That
man.
is the juice.
Yeah, that's
and I
the
didn't want to
juice.
say it. I didn't want to say it. That's the juice. So I say all the love I need is in me now. And I didn't believe that. And I still have a hard time believing that. I'm like, I want love. Give me love. And I'm like, I have all the love I need. It's already
Right.
in me.
That's
I just have
it.
to let it out.
That's it. It's in you, and all of the wisdom is in you, and
Yes.
all of it's just right
There's a
there.
great line that you'll love in one of my favorite movies, which is The Assassination of Jesse James. And they're riding at night. You'll love this. And the guy, it's Ed Wood. Spoiler alert, he dies. He looks at the stars, and Jesse James, Brad Pitt, says, you ever count the stars? I can never get the same number. The guy goes, he's nervous because he knows Jesse James is about to kill him.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't even know what a star is in reality or whatever. And Jesse James, this is the last thing he says before he fucking shoots him in the back.
Yeah.
He says, your body knows, it's your mind that forgot.
Whoa.
And fucking shoots him. And he doesn't shoot him right after that line. Then he trails off and goes, I'll catch up with you, partner. And the guy has this fucking... It's one of the best pieces of cinema ever for me. He's riding towards the camera so we can see his face,
Yes.
the guy that's about to die, and who knows he's about to die, knows that Jesse James took him out to kill him.
Yeah.
And he says, I don't know what a star is. He's like, your mind forgot, your body knows. And then he trails off and he goes, I'll catch up with you. And we see for about the longest 30 seconds of the world, because you know, I've seen the movie probably 30 times, you know he knows he's about to die.
Yeah.
And he's looking at the stars. And he's like kind of crying a little bit. Like it looks like he's about to cry. And he realizes he's like gonna die.
Yeah.
He realizes he doesn't know what a star is. And every fucking time, 30 times I've seen it probably, the gunshot startles me because I connect with him making his peace, with him commending his spirit, with him being incapable of commending his spirit, in him dying afraid instead of dying knowing what a star is.
Right.
Jesus
it's
Christ.
Beautiful, man. So beautiful.
I love that movie. I didn't even realize that's one of the reasons why I love that movie.
This is the thing, and this is the frustrating thing about the society that we exist in right now is that love is somehow almost you have to you're supposed to always be veiling and hiding your love from the people around you, and but after a certain amount of time when you're a kid and you're conditioned to do that, then you do lose you lose that connection with the divine, what stars represent.
And then that's the beginning of, that guy was a Wild West vampire, or he's on his way to becoming out of touch with these things that we knew. It goes back to the dreaming stuff.
Yes.
Because I knew I was better at dreaming when I was a kid. I've lost it a little bit.
Right.
There was this book, I fucking forget what it's called. It doesn't matter. But there was this girl, and she said that she, I wish I could remember what it's called. It doesn't matter. One of the few books I've read. She talks about when she was a child, she could fly down the stairs. And she believes that she could, that there was a spiral staircase in her grandmother's house. And when she was really, really little, she knew a way that she could fly down the stairs.
Yeah.
And then she forgot. And she remembers going back as a kid and being like, there was something I did on these stairs. I can't remember.
Wow.
Because she's been in too many cars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's been in too many planes.
Yeah.
She's seen too many movies.
Yeah.
And now she can't fly down the stairs anymore. And I kind of feel that way a little bit. I'm going to bring home the dreaming thing because I think you'll love it. Remember, I have to find it. It's behind a couch.
Yes.
So
and jet engine.
I look behind it. I look. Sometimes it's behind a couch. Sometimes it's somewhere else. But I know it when it hits me, and it blasts. And so I'm still somewhat conscious in my body, and my face is literally pinned against, to the side now.
Wow.
I was looking for, and now it's just I don't actually think if you were in the room with me at that moment, no part of me thinks that there's actually wind coming on me. But my brain sure is telling me there is.
Yes.
So my body is reacting.
Yes.
And I am pinned to that bed. It's actually kind of scary. But like mushrooms, you have to be fear is part of this.
Yes.
I'm going to be okay with fear.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I tell myself when I start having a weird hallucination. I'm like, oh, I see a fucking scary skull. I'm like, it's okay. I'm afraid. That's okay.
Yes.
So that's also where I'm in this moment. I'm like, I'm afraid. It's okay. I'm afraid. But what happens is you go, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. There's a part of you going, wake up. And I open my eyes. But what's fucking awesome, Duncan, is I didn't open my eyes. I swear I feel like my eyelids literally open.
Yes.
But I'm in my bedroom, and it's exactly how it was. Except it looks a little bit like a fucking painting. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So somebody nudged my bedroom just on the side like Fonzie jukebox. Everything's a little off. And suddenly there's a bureau that I don't have, that I grew up with a mirror on it.
Yep.
And I get up and I'm like, fuck, I did it. There isn't really a mojo. You have to walk a line. You can't be too aware because it'll go away. But I will go, I did it. Okay, I'm dreaming.
Yeah.
This is my bedroom, but it's not my bedroom. And I got up. Fucking Aziz made fun of me for this. Because he was like, what do you do when you lucid dream? I was like, well, I looked in the mirror. And he was like, you can do anything and you look in the fucking... I was like, fuck you, man. I'm trying to show you something.
Yeah.
I like
what would Aziz do? Go fucking have lunch with Kanye?
I love agreement so much, and the fact that you had my back on that kind of questionable thing. I was so deeply offended that he made fun of me. I was in a room with... It's important. Zach Galifianakis was there. Steve Agee was there. Chelsea was there. So
you're at Largo.
I'm at. Yes, I was at Largo.
Yeah.
And so it's a room full of my peers, and it's a difficult thing to talk about. And I've been waiting to have this conversation because I'm very passionate about it. But most people don't give a shit. So I start talking about how I looked in the mirror, and then Aziz did this bit. Aziz isn't a bad person. I'm not here to trash Aziz.
No.
But in that moment, I was like, fuck you, man.
Yeah.
That's all that happened.
Yeah.
So because I'm here to tell you, and you'll appreciate, I looked in the mirror, and it was one of the coolest things I've done.
What'd you see? The dots?
In my life. I didn't see, what are dots?
Well, no, what did you see?
I'll tell you what I saw. I saw me, but it's almost like a cliche in the sense that it really did look like a painting, like thick paint, the kind of painting I like, actually.
Right.
It's like my brain was like made what I like. I'm drawn to a certain style of painting, and here it was happening in my brain. They made me look fucking amazing. I looked gorgeous. I'm not talking about like classically attractive or sexual.
Sure.
I'm talking about like, I looked in the mirror, and you have to remember that this felt like reality.
Yes.
It didn't feel like a dream. I got up, and it felt real, like things had weight to them.
Yeah.
And I was looking in a mirror, and I saw me, which is rare. You don't see yourself in dreams.
No, it's
The
a rare
more I
thing.
think about it, it's kind of the fucking coolest thing you could ever do, Aziz.
Yeah.
You never see yourself in a dream. I saw myself. I looked myself in the eye in a dream, and I looked like I was like almost dripping weird moving paint. You know what I mean? Like if you made a cell animation, but every cell was paint, and it was 1,000,000 frames a second. And I was just looking at myself, and I'm melting, and I touched my face, kind of a cliche drug move, but it was exactly what you would think, and it was beautiful. And then I kind of realized that the clock was ticking, like I was running out of time.
Yep.
I could tell that I was only going to be in this place for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
And I was.
But wait, I want to go back to this idea. So you saw yourself, and you thought the one thing you said is like you were beautiful.
Yeah.
Well,
Which was also a Tony Robbins thing. He actually says specifically to look in the mirror and tell yourself that you love yourself.
Yes.
And I do that. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that.
Sure, I'm sure. You know why you're embarrassed? Because these motherfuckers.
Yes.
If you tell the wrong, this is the world we live in. If you tell certain people, yes, sometimes I look in the mirror and I say to myself, "I love you. You're a great person.
Yes.
You're going to have the best day of your life. I'm very proud of you, and I'm very happy to be you in this incarnation." You say that to the wrong person.
Yes.
They're like, what the fuck are you talking about, man?
Yeah, they'll
Seriously?
think you're crazy.
That's what you do?
They'll think you're a dick.
Fucking dick.
It's kind of the Aziz thing. I don't want to load him. It's like a
Kind of.
mockery.
It's not kind of.
It is the Aziz.
It's the exact same thing. See, what happened? Here's what.
I love you calling me on my shit because I'm trying to walk the line. I'm like, it's kind
Don't
of the
walk
Aziz
the
thing.
line.
It is the Aziz thing. That's what was happening in that moment.
Yeah, this is. I've found this happens. I consider it. You know, the term that in India, the term they give for this reality is Maya, and that translates into roughly illusion. But it's not a impersonal word. It's a word that also implies it's active illusion. It's illusion that has its own consciousness. It's illusion that's trying to constantly distract you and trying to constantly capture your focus. So I have noticed that in conversations, when they start going to a certain important place where you're really like going deep and you've managed to maybe just start pushing that fucking ship out of the harbor of sorrows.
Yeah.
Inevitably, something will come in. It'll be Aziz being like, "Yeah, why don't you turn into you should turn into a dragon." It won't even be something cool like that. It's something that you generally, I've noticed at sports. Someone will come in and start talking about March Madness, or someone will, you know what I mean? Some kind of,
interesting,
but it's
man.
always there. It's always this.
You know what's brilliant? As while you were saying that,
Yeah.
I started to go, where do I have to be after this?
Right.
That's the moment my brain was like, what's your day look like?
Yeah.
And I just thought to myself, I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
This is an important conversation.
Well, you know, here's what you do, and this is what I'm learning to do right now. This is something that I've been. I just did a podcast with, and I'm gonna release this one today, and I'm gonna release that one on Thursday. I just did the podcast with. Do you know who Ram Dass is?
No.
He's a brilliant philosopher, and he's a spiritualist. Incredible human, and I've like a great deal of what I've learned about meditation has just come from his lectures. And so anyway, he has this foundation called the Love Serve Remember Foundation, and one of the people who runs that came over to do the podcast. This guy named Raghu Marcus came over, and I don't know if you can see it, but that picture I have up there is of Neem Karoli Baba, which they call Maharaji, which is a super advanced being, lived in the middle of the Himalayas. And anyway, super advanced being, like had a huge effect on society that people don't even know, because he wasn't like us. He wasn't an exhibitionist, and he didn't really want anyone to bug him. And he told like people like Ram Dass and don't bring anyone here. And I don't want to deal with it.
What was he?
I'll tell you all about it. It's
yeah.
fast. But so what? he told me on the podcast, and something that I've been thinking about is that
Wait, Ram Dass is on the podcast?
no, this is no, I wish this was, but one of his someone who runs his foundation, and hangs out with him all the time, and they both had the same guru, and they both are really fucking.
And he's going to do the podcast?
He already did it.
He already did it?
He did it a couple of days ago. He's incredible. So this is what he told me. This is the thing he told me. This is really cool. This is the thing he told me. So the thing you just said, where your mind was like, "What do we got to do? We got to go. We got to do something. Your mind's always doing that." And you're like, "Get the fuck out of here!"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Kill the vampires. You got to run them off into the forest."
Yeah.
What this guy says, which I really like, is in your mind when the thought emerges.
The distracting thought.
The distracting thought, you say to it the same thing you say to yourself when you look in the mirror. You say, "I love you. I love you. You're okay. I know you're in a hurry, but I love you."
That's fucking perfect.
And then you become the love. You become the love. So what the chant that you were saying, say that chant about love again that you say when
all
you go
the love I need is in me now.
So Ram Dass, he taught me a chant because I did this web video thing with him a few years ago where you can talk to him. It's on his website. It fucking blew my mind, melted my mind for like a year. But he gave me this chant. He said there's a chant you can do. Which is, I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. So that
What does that mean? Tell me.
It means that underneath it all, the thing underneath the veil covering up God or Jesus or the universe or the divine intelligence, the underneath it all, it's love. That's what you are. That's what I am. That's what's running the whole show. That's the thing underneath everything. It's love. Your true identity is love. Love is the ultimate in technology. Love is the ultimate in sophistication. Nothing's more attractive than love. Nothing's more incredible than love. Nothing's smarter than love. Love is the most perfect, beautiful thing that exists in the universe, so much so that the word love is the wrong word for what the thing is. So That's what you are. So the idea is you begin to move your mind away from the fixation on the thought patterns. You bring your mind back from the fixation on the thought patterns, which you have confused as yourself. So you know what I mean? So you think I'm this person or I'm this thought or I'm this idea. You bring it back realizing, oh, I'm observing it. Much in the same way you were talking about looking at the beautiful girl in the IMAX theater in your mind. So in the same way that you begin to induce a lucid dream during a dreaming state, you begin to induce that lucid dream during a waking state. So now you're beginning to push back from the screen of your mind so that you begin to wake up in this life. And what you are waking up as is God, love energy, the love energy. So that's the idea. So now whenever the bad thoughts come up and whenever the idea comes up, you know, I was talking to him like how I have like full fucking arguments with people in my mind.
I do too.
Those. So
I would actually think it's crazy if you didn't.
Those arguments, you know, where you're getting in a fight with someone, you're in a fight
with something they didn't say.
Yeah.
I on the ride over, I was also hallucinating a argument where I apologized to somebody because I said something drunk last night that they'll never know I said.
Never.
But I was like, just in case.
Yeah.
And I started having that discussion with them. Go on.
Right. So there you are having this thing. So what he said, what you do is instead of feeling bad about the fact that your mind is having this in an endless reoccurring negative pattern, what you do is you begin to express love towards that. And so then you do it in a real way, not a bullshit way. You like, the idea is this is called cultivation. It's called spiritual cultivation. And they use the term cultivation because it's identical to going out into some fucking dry clay field with an old hoe and you just start beating at that fucking clay and beating at the fucking clay and just beating and working and working and working and working and working. And over time, the more you do that, then the more
you have a nice little patch.
Yeah, you get a patch. And then that patch grows. And then the next thing you know, when you get in the real confrontation that inevitably will happen instead of the fake one, if you've been loving the fake one in your mind, then all of a sudden the energy that you're going to start putting out when you get into these situations with people is not the dick energy or the cunt energy. It's going to be, and not condescending, phony, holy, oh, I love you and one day you'll learn.
Right.
It's going to be passionate, wild, beautiful, juicy, intense love for the person, and it's irresistible. It's irresistible. You can't resist it. You know?
That's the opposite of those conversations we started by talking about. Is love.
Yeah.
Is an irresistible. That's what we were talking about Jesus too. Is as an embodiment of love and people being drawn to it. Like people disturbing this guy from his naps.
Yeah.
People chasing down people so they have to write books.
Yeah.
Is because they have some love, and that's what we were talking about. Why people don't care about space is because we just want fulfillment and unity.
Yeah.
That's what I want. What gets me off is agreement and connection. That's all I want.
Yeah,
that's all I want.
Me too.
People that fucking came up in a fucking show pitch. They were like, "What is your thing?" I was like, "Connection and agreement."
And they're like, "What? Get him out of here! Security, get him out of here! We're not selling antidepressants with that fucking notion." How are we going to sell our fucking pharmaceuticals that pay for this fucking life-sucking entertainment? Get him out of here!
Oh my God!
Back into the streets with him!
Jesus,
we don't need that. We don't need that.
Also, these conversations and these things in mind goes back to the dreaming thing, and I'm not even forcing this, is that like when you're trying to start the dream, you'll go like, oh, I got to get up at 4. You know what? You'll have that thought. So that sort of approach to like, I love that thought. I love that distraction.
Yeah.
That's how my brain works.
Yeah.
I love you that you're thinking about your day.
Yeah.
That's why we show up places. That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking care of us.
There you
That's
go.
why I get money.
Yeah.
I get money, and I
From
need
you-
that
from
for
you.
things.
Thank you.
I get money from that guy.
Yeah.
That's the guy that's making sure I get paid.
It's the secretary.
The guy who's trying to is my secretary. The guy who's trying to dream would be barefoot in an orange grove. You know what I mean? And that's fine, but I also like Xbox.
Yeah. Well, you get to do it all, man. That's the beauty of this fucking thing. You get to do it all. You get to play Xbox. You get to have money. And you get to be the guy running barefoot through the orange grove. You get to do it all. And so many people, they feel like, oh, you know, if I don't want to get spiritual because then I won't be funny anymore. You hear that all the time. It's like,
That's
no,
interesting.
You don't understand. It's like a light bulb saying, I don't want more current running through me because I won't shine light anymore.
I don't want more current running through me. I've never had that concern. In
Some
fact,
people do.
I get it. Like, I don't want to stop drinking or whatever it is. I want those crazy stories or whatever. I'll be funny. I'm honest. This is going to sound, see, I apologize. I'm looking for truth. I'm not going to apologize.
Yeah.
That's therapy. That's a lot of money right there. Me not apologizing.
Yeah.
I'm looking for truth. I really want to connect. Really, what you just said, your definition of love being juicy and
wild.
undeniable and wild.
Yeah.
It reminds me of how you talked about Christianity. Fucking death symbols.
Yeah.
Blood.
Yeah.
Resurrection.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's supposed to be irresistible.
Yeah.
The things you should be interested in are the things you're interested in.
Yeah.
Because they're interesting.
Yep.
But we've lost it. We're not looking at them anymore.
No.
And I, again, apologizing. It's because I want a huge soda or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I want to fucking eat a pizza
Eat
that
that
has
pizza
cooked into the pizza,
Eat
like
the
a double pizza.
Eat that double pizza.
Give me
and
a double pizza.
Drink that soda. See, the idea is what you begin to do is you begin to do these things not because you're trying to escape reality. You do them as an act of love. You understand that your predilections and the things you're drawn to are it's like being drawn to little textbooks in life, and that the thing. And so what happens is when you start realizing that, when you start thinking like, whatever the act is that you feel so guilty about, or whatever the thing is that you've made so taboo, and everyone has their own little thing that they made taboo.
Yeah.
So what you do is you begin to realize, oh no, these things, this is part of my evolutionary process, and these things are actually there for me to get closer to this state of, you know, becoming an embodiment of love. And so then when you begin to do whatever the thing is, no matter how awful the thing is, how guilty and how terrible you feel about the thing, I'll tell you something. It ain't that bad. It's not that bad.
Yes.
This is why in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, even the vilest of criminals, if their mind is absorbed in me, will cross over the material ocean as easy as someone stepping over a puddle. And the idea is, you're not good.
Yeah.
You're not bad.
Well, that's what I've been trying to. I told you that my Christian guilt. I got this from Bill. I don't know why I'm trying to. The Power of Myth.
Sure.
Joseph Campbell.
Yes.
With Bill Moyers. He never gets the shout out.
Never.
Bill Moyers gets the shout out. You're welcome.
Yeah.
I was telling you that I have Christian upbringings. I have a hard time with all of my desires. I really do. I'm embarrassed by all of them.
Yep.
Only food can I be like, I'm going to eat the fuck out of that sub. That I'm okay with.
Yeah.
But like with sex, it's really hard for me to be honest about what I'd like to do to a girl.
Yeah.
I'm not. Oh, see, again, I want to tell you that it's not something weird or kinky. It's just
It
kind
isn't.
of pretty standard things. That I would like
Well, no,
to do.
this is the
But I have a
part-
hard time owning them. Even now, in this moment, I'm having
Yeah.
a hard time owning them because
Yeah.
I don't want you to think that I want to shit on a girl. I don't, but I'm afraid that you'll think that. I don't know why. Because of that.
If you did, it'd be okay.
Right. Yes, it would be okay.
That's the idea.
In a loving and trusting
Listen,
place where you
or
go,
not.
I'd really, or not.
Who knows, brother? I don't know. Who knows? Who fucking knows?
Well, this is the thing I got from Power of Myth that I was telling you is that my Christian thing, let's say I do want to shit on a girl.
Yes.
I want to shit on a girl. That's the thought that we're playing with.
Okay.
My Christian side goes, that's wrong. That's a bad thing
Yeah.
to do. I hear this voice as clearly as I'm hearing my own right now.
Okay.
A little less, but pretty clear.
Yeah.
Wrong. Bad.
Yeah.
The buzzer goes off. Inappropriate.
Yeah.
Stop even thinking about it.
Yeah.
Certainly stop talking about it right now for your listeners. This
Yeah.
is a bad thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's what that voice is saying. Then I'm trying to embrace, and please, I'm not a prophet of Buddha. I don't know how to, I'm talking about the one thing I know about Buddhism from a DVD that I saw, so I'm not an expert, is the idea that everything is the same sort of thing, where it's like shitting on a girl, not shitting on a girl. It's all kind of the same.
Yeah.
It's this kind of liberating and terrifying thing. Saying the death of a baby is the same as the death of an old person.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But we're like, the baby didn't get to live, and we're like, I know, nothing is evil. If it's happening, God wanted it to happen.
Yeah.
What's happening is what God wants to happen.
What's happening is God happening.
What's happening is God happening.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that we should give up and not push for good things. Ice cream
Sure.
and unity and
Yeah.
understanding and conversations like this. These are inarguably good things.
Yes.
So we should participate in the dance knowing that it's kind of meaningless or whatever, or the most meaningful thing in the world. It's just not meaningless in the traditional sense, I suppose, in that like I'm kind of losing the thought, but we have to like abandon the idea that we're rebelling, that we're trying to fix the world, and rather just participate in it.
Our compasses are all spinning, man. It's like we've lost the wind in our sails, and once you get that wind in your sails, if you're fucking, the odds are once you get that wind in your sails, you're not going to want to shit on a girl because there's a lot of other things to do before that are a lot more interesting. But I'll tell you this: if there was an option to shit on a girl in The Sims.
Yeah.
Everybody be using that option to shit on a girl.
When you clicked on it, it's a kiss, hug,
shit on
fucking
a girl.
perfect.
Everyone be doing so, but that
everyone would do shit on her first.
It would overload the servers. If it was like if it was in World of Warcraft, it would crash the server.
A huge story.
Shit on the girl. Shit on the girl.
Everyone. Right now, I'm thinking about how funny it would be to see that.
Yeah.
That blur the ass out,
Yeah.
but the shit would probably be okay.
Everybody'd want to do that. I'll tell you what's a million times more disgusting than shitting on a girl.
Tell me.
What's a million times more than disgusting than shitting on a girl is to intentionally try to make the people around you feel guilty or bad for wanting to experiment with their reality. That's fucked up. It's like imagine if you were traveling, you were a interdimensional traveler, and you got on a spaceship, and you went into some alternate dimension, and you're a scientist, and now you want to experiment with every single thing you can in that dimension for the limited time you're there, because you know the spacesuit that you're in, unfortunately, it only lasts for a little bit of time. Then you got to get back on the ship.
Jesus.
So when you're fucking there, you get to run the experiments. Whatever your things are, whatever your instincts are, that's your job. Run the experiments. Whatever the thing is, do it. Check it out. See it. Look. Understand.
Taste it.
Gauge it.
Lick
Taste
it.
it. Map it. Lick
Shit
it.
on it.
Shit on it. Shit on it if you want to. Just do it. But you know what you don't need? You don't need some fucking asshole who traveled on through that long journey, came out of that fucking the weird interdimensional portal that the vagina is into this world. You don't want somebody being like, "Oh, you're going to do that? Yeah. You're really doing that? Okay." I mean, I guess we can talk. It's like, hey, fuck you, man. I don't know where I came from. All I know is I have amnesia.
I'm looking in the mirror, Aziz.
Yeah, I'm looking in the mirror.
You have amnesia because you don't know how you got there.
Yeah.
I believe all of your listeners get the metaphor, but I'd like you to know that I got the metaphor.
Great.
And it's fucking stirring.
Fucking go for
This
it.
spacesuit
Yeah.
has an expiration date.
Yeah, you got to go for it. Go for it. No apologies. And anybody who's making you feel like you've got to say you're sorry, you got to get them away from you. And if you you either get them away from you, or you transform them. And if you and you know what I mean, it's one or the other. One or the other. Get them away from you, or transform them. If you can't transform them, if your presence isn't going to like make them like wake up and start getting excited about life and loving life.
Yes.
And I don't mean transform them by using the same tricks they do, by making them feel guilty or making them, it's transform them by like
they do.
Yeah, not that. It's a different thing altogether.
I mean, the proselytizing that you're doing is the example of perfect you know what I mean, spreading your gospel or whatever, is that you've never pushed, I've never seen you push anything on anybody.
No.
But anytime I put a quarter in that jukebox, you'll talk for 10 minutes and then I'll be like, well, let's follow that one. Tell me more. Terrence McKenna. What?
Terrence McKenna.
I know, Terrence McKenna.
Pete, holy shit,
it's
man.
fucking perfect. Well, you want to hear the rest of the dream?
Yes, I do.
Looked in the mirror. Then it was so cool. I walked away from the mirror. And then it started looking really real again. Like it kind of was like, am I awake? Like it stopped looking like paint. Looked exactly like my bedroom. I was walking. Then I looked in my bathroom. I'm in my hallway. Looked in my bathroom, which is to my left, and it was filled with businessmen, having a meeting in like a Wall Street. Like it looked like this whole other thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't the size or shape of my bathroom. It looked like Wall Street. It looked like a cliche dark oak walls, and they're all kind of almost like they were ice fishing, but they were looking at a document. But they were all kind of like crouched on it. And I looked at it, and I just went, almost like your experiment, almost like your life thing, knowing that I was running out of time.
Yeah.
Fucking A, man. That's some deep shit.
Deep.
I was like, I realized my spacesuit, this dream was going to run out.
Yep.
I could feel it. I was like, I'm waking up.
Yeah.
Not because I'm tired, but almost because my brain can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
It's like, because I'm not that good at it, because I haven't cracked enough of my clay. So I'm looking, and I see them, and I go, that's not what I'm going to do. I want to see what's at the end of the hallway. And I walked past the businessman, and I did. I lost it. I walked, and I got into my living room, and I woke up, and I had that feeling of like, no, I don't want to. And then I woke up, and that's when I felt like, so I told you, that dream, nothing really happened.
Yep. Well, it's fascinating, though.
But it was fascinating. It was my apartment. And my apartment was on mushrooms, basically. And I had that warmth. And I felt very calm and still and centered. And kind of that love thing you were talking about. I kind of connected to some sort of feeling of love.
Yes.
So when I woke up, it wasn't the rest that refreshed me. It was that journey. I woke up feeling better than I ought by rights should have felt, given how much sleep I had just gotten.
Yeah.
15 minutes. And I felt like I had slept for a month.
Right.
And I had a fantastic day.
Yes.
Going around being like, my brain made that happen.
You drink the Tron water. You know in Tron when they drink that water? And
Tell me.
Did you ever see Tron?
I did see Tron. I remembered what the water looked
like. It's a
like.
ridiculous reference. Forget it. It's like you get like I consider like the fountain of youth that everyone was always talking about is novelty. You had a novel experience, and when in your dream you attain novelty through lucid dreaming, and you woke up refreshed.
Yeah.
Anytime you get the novelty, you're all of a sudden you have a million times more energy. I mean the state most people are familiar with is falling in love. When you first start falling in love for the first time, you fucking stuck your head right into a novelty tube. You know?
Novelty.
Yeah, you're getting novelty.
We're chasing novelty.
We're chasing love because love is always new. Novelty is new.
I was just saying to somebody that when I was dating a girl, and I was very much in love with her, I would stay on the phone with her all night.
Yeah.
And I love sleep.
Yeah.
Kind of more than anything.
Yeah.
I love it. And I was on the road, and I needed to get rest. I had to do all these shows.
Yeah.
And I would stay up with this girl
Beautiful.
all night on the phone.
Beautiful.
It was beautiful because it was novel. It was actually
knocked
interesting.
you out of your pattern.
It knocked me out of my pattern.
And now you're loving, and now you're living for love. And once you do that, fuck the patterns. The patterns just were something that you were using to try to hunt novelty.
Eating, sleeping, showering. Did you just shower? All of it is just stupid.
Yeah.
Because you've tapped into something genuine. And we have that in romantic love.
Yeah.
But what I think is what I'm being uplifted by about my story is that it had nothing to do. That is all the love I need is in me now.
Yeah.
My body chemically created and released an appropriate dose of loving feeling.
Yeah.
To me.
Right.
That
well, you
thing
know, all
I've been
those
saying is
chemicals.
true.
The thing is and it might just be semantics, but all those fucking chemicals that so many different atheists love to parade around in front of you with their big ghost story. We're all just chemical machines. We're gonna boo. They try to scare you, but like that's the instinct behind it. You know, quite often the instinct behind it is not one of like, hey, you know what? We're all just chemical machines, and we're everything that we experience in life is just a series of chemical and electronic transmissions in the neurocomputers, which are our brain, and we're going to die. So make the most of it. There's always this weird edge to it, where they're like, you feel like when you were a kid, and like someone started trying to tell you, you know, this house is haunted, right? It's like you're not scaring me. I'm not scared of your fucking ghost. So those chemicals are an extrusion of a deeper truth. It's extruding into the material universe in the same way like when you grow crystals and the crystals grow up. It's like the chemicals themselves are an extrusion of a higher transcendent law that is just manifesting in the material universe in the form of those chemicals.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what's interesting to me is the first time I heard about a runner's high, I actually had a bit about it. This was like my first year of stand-up. I was like, so there are endorphins in our body. And I was like, why don't they just release them? Let them out.
Yeah.
Fucking give them to me.
Yeah.
I'd like to feel good now. I don't want to go on a jog.
Yeah.
Make me feel good.
Yeah.
Who's the asshole in my body? Not my actual asshole. Who's the other asshole in my body?
That's a great joke.
That is marshaling the endorphins.
There's like a stingy chemist. Like there's some fucking stingy chemist.
Yeah, there's a fucking pharmacist.
Let me see the prescription.
Yeah. Oh,
Let me
you went
see
for
your
a
ID.
run?
There
you go.
There's a little juice.
Fucking give it to me. I'm in charge here.
Yeah.
Hear me now.
Yeah.
I'm the brain.
Yeah. That
Brain is saying, let them out.
Yeah. Hey, asshole. It's your boss. I run this fucking
This is
drugstore.
my town.
Now here's the thing.
I own the drugstore,
Now, let me
but
tell-
I don't own the drugstore.
Here's the thing, my friend. You can own the drugstore. You can open up that fucking wonderful, wonderful pharmaceutical manufacturing company in your brain.
Yes.
And you can fucking do it in a simple way, and you've already done it. You've been talking about it. It's your lucid dreaming technique. That's opening up that the pharmacy in your brain and inducing an experience.
Inducing an experience.
Yeah, you intentionally cause these chemicals to be released. And in the same way, they say that. I mean, this is one of the stories that Ram Dass was. His name was Richard Alpert, and he was hanging out with Timothy Leary, and he ended up he was a psychologist, brilliant, super genius, and he ended up doing the LSD experiments and getting so high on acid, and the problem that he was experiencing was not a moral or ethical problem with getting high all the time. It was that he couldn't stay permanently high. It's that when you trip out, you always got to come down, and when you come down, you kind of lose the connection that you had. So he went to India trying to see if he could actually, if
Stay
anything was to be,
high.
permanently
That
high.
was his hypothesis. He was like, that's what I'd like to prove.
Yeah.
Being high all the time.
Not in those words, but it was just that the mind state he was reaching through psychedelics, he wanted to see, can we do this organically, naturally? Is there a way to do this and make it even better and more extreme? So he met his guru up in the Himalayas, and the story is an incredible story, which he's written about in a lot of his books. But one of the things he did, because he was given some high-powered LSD by Albert Owsley, who was the chemist who funded the Grateful Dead. So when you see those dancing bears, that Owsley's nickname was Bear, and so Owsley was this legendary LSD chemist who supposedly, when he would make his LSD runs, people would bow down to him. Like they'd bow on their hands and knees. They would bow to him because they considered him some form of pharmacological saint who was like inducing these fucking experiences. So Owsley whips up a very special batch of acid for Ram Dass when he goes to India, and Ram Dass This is his big magic. This is the magic they had in the 60s, is this LSD. That was everyone's big magic. And it was like powerful stuff. So he was he meets this old man in a fucking blanket, and the old man has already blown his mind. Like, as he apparently, anyone who ran into him, you just got your mind blown. Like, he was just pure, unconditional love was coming out of this guy like a tsunami. And once you got around it, you couldn't, like, there was nothing you could do. You just melted. And you would break down, and you would have some great realizations. So this old man who seems very funny said to Ram Dass at one point, and Ram Dass, of course, hadn't said to this guy, I brought LSD here. The old man just knew it. Like, he knew everything. He's like, you have medicine. Oh, you brought some medicine, didn't you? You brought some medicine. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, give it to me. So he gives this old Indian man a fucking very, very high-powered dose of Albert Owsley LSD. The kind of stuff now, any of these fucking hipsters took it, they'd be in a mental asylum. They would be gone. So this old man eats it, and Ram Dass is like, well, I guess I just drove an old Indian man crazy. I shouldn't have done that. Hour passes, nothing. 2 hour passes, nothing. 3 hours pass, nothing. No effect. Zero effect. Nothing. Didn't do anything to him. Now, the story goes on.
Shit.
Yeah, so that's what Ram Dass thought. He's like, holy shit, this is impossible, is what he's thinking. He's like, he's palmed it in his hand. He's done some kind of magic trick. He didn't take it. This is bull. There's no way your brain reacts to LSD. It has to react.
Yes.
So he left and he came back, had more LSD. The Neem Karoli Baba, according to the story, says to him, you don't believe, he knew. He's like, you thought I was playing a trick on you. He's like, give it to me. He gives them a huge dose, like 2,000 mics, like a huge dose. Neem Karoli Baba chews it up in his mouth, opens his mouth so that Ram Dass can see that now they're just broken bits of LSD pill in this old man's mouth. Same thing happens. Some time passes. He goes under his blanket. He had this blanket. He goes under his blanket, and he comes up, and his eyes have rolled back in his head, and he's like, he's moaning around us. It's like, oh, no. Of course it works. I knew it worked. And then Neem Karoli Baba just starts laughing at him because he was fucking with him. He's like, and what he said is, he's like, this is potent medicine. And what he said to him is this,
Wait, he said this is potent medicine?
He said, yeah. He said, what this is, he said something like, they used to have this in the Indus Valley. They used to have something like this. And he said, it brings you into the presence of the Christ energy, is what he said. And that was pretty much it. But he's like, this is just not is this what we're to take from this? That his normal state was in that place? His normal state was 1,000,000 times greater than that place. See, that's the idea. The idea is like, in the Western world, we came up with a pharmacological solution to something that they came up with in India a long time ago, which is this cracking open the ego and obtaining your true identity and merging with the whole. But this is since it's a chemical solution, it doesn't last. Over there, some people have done it permanently. They've done it permanently. They woke up from the fucking dream permanently. They woke up. And apparently this man had woken up, according to everyone who came in contact with him. And I just found out that Steve Jobs, on his deathbed, next to his bed was "Be Here Now" by Ram Dass. And Steve Jobs.
This guy, LSD guy?
Yeah.
LSD guy wrote a book?
LSD guy? You mean Ram Dass?
I'm sorry.
Ram Dass wrote a bunch of books.
Ram Dass is LSD guy?
Ram Dass is not. Yeah, Ram Dass isn't the chemist who made this stuff.
Who's the old man in the blanket?
Neem Karoli Baba. He didn't write anything.
Oh, okay.
he just got a bunch of books written about him because everybody got blasted by him, and they were trying to communicate the experience of being around something like that. But it's it's trying to write about it is the same thing as trying to tell someone who's never been in a hot tub what it's like to sit in a hot tub. It's like a real challenge because it's just an experience. Didn't mean to go on that story so long.
Are you kidding me? This is like one of the best days of my life.
I love you. You're so cool, man. You're the coolest. Thank you, Pete. Fucking great guy, man. What a great guy. Great, funny comic, man. You know, me and Derek Waters were talking about you on our podcast. Yeah,
He came on your podcast?
he came on the podcast and we just talked about how funny we think you are.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're super.
That's very nice. Is it weird to say I'm aware that I'm funny? That's
if
something.
You weren't,
that's something. Yeah, that would be
up.
insane.
You got to be aware of it. It's like you got to be aware of it.
But that's something. Again, I guess that's the Christian thing where I'm like, it's wrong for me to say it, or I'll come. Here's what it is. I think this is really what it is. I'll say I'm aware that I'm funny.
Yes.
Right. You'll stop liking me. People will stop liking me. Word will get out that I said this egomaniacal fucking asshole thing.
Yeah.
I'm aware that I'm funny.
Yeah.
Even though I am, and it's true. People will hear it. They'll judge it. They'll stop helping me.
Yes.
Next thing you know, in my brain fantasy, I have no love. Everything's gone. I have no food.
I can hear the conversation right now.
I have no shelter.
Hey, did you hear? You know that guy?
Yeah.
The guy who crushes every time he gets on stage. He gets on stage and fucking always destroys where it's almost impossible to follow him. You know that guy? Pete? He thinks he's funny. Can you believe it? What? What? He thinks he's funny? What a dick! He really thinks that?
These are the things that are anchoring us, keeping us from going into this awesome place that Blanket Man is. Some of them are absurd. And they were established before my brain was fully formed. That's what happened.
It's all just, you know, everyone's got their own little, everyone has their own anchors, usually a series of anchors. Everyone has their own anchors. Everyone's ashamed of their anchors.
Yes.
They all feel ashamed, and they all feel ashamed. A lot of people are in just a stupid, weird, embarrassing life. Generally, they're surrounded by filth. Their apartments are incredibly messy. They're in debt. They've gone into because they haven't been actively dreaming, and they've just been letting the wind of fate push them around. They end up in these shitty lives. Mm-hmm. And so they end up becoming terrified of this notion of like cutting the anchors and sailing out of the harbor of sorrows, because somehow they think that because it means they have to deal with their fucking shit. Mm-hmm. They have to fight. That's what it means. It means you have to fight. Like, that's the idea, man, is to get to be like Blanket Man, as you call him, which I think is an awesome name for him. Fucking Maharaji Blanket Man. He's like a superhero. Blanket Man. Blanket Man.
I'm amazed with your recall of names and stuff, because I'm just sitting here being like, I have a hard time remembering your name.
I have a hard time remembering
it.
But the idea is fucking some people I've noticed, and I was one of them at one point, would rather the world end than deal with their own shit.
Yeah.
Because it's easier. So some people in really bad jobs think it's the end of the world because they want it to be the end of the world, because it's easier for society to fall apart and society to collapse.
It's like your wife leaving you rather than you leaving your wife.
Yeah, they don't want to take the action. They don't want to kill.
Right.
And this is like the Bhagavad Gita is set, which is one of the greatest religious scriptures of all time. If you read it.
No, what is it?
It's called the Bhagavad Gita.
See, I thought that was a person.
No, it's a 5,000-year-old scripture. It's incredible. And it's set on this battlefield called Kurukshetra, or another name for it is Dharmasetra, which means the battlefield of eternal truth. And so this battle is the worst battle that is ever going to be fought in India. It's a battle where it ends with almost all the soul warriors dying. It's a brutal, bloody battle. And so this is the dialogue that happens between Arjuna, this prince, and Krishna, the symbol for God. Krishna is the charioteer Arjuna has asked him to bring the chariot in between these two forces that are about to fight. And Arjuna looks out at everyone he's got to kill, and he throws his bow, Gandhava, down, and he says, I'm going to go into the forest. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to fight. I don't want to fight. This isn't for me. I'm in a way he was saying I'm better than that. You know, I'm not going to fight. And so many people have there's different versions of that in their life, where people are like pretend that their cowardice is noble, or they pretend that they're so you know, Krishna's response in the entire Bhagavad Gita is why you got to fight. He said, you know, it actually, like, in the midst of these two armies, because Arjuna was crying. I think Arjuna cried. This is called Arjuna's dejection, and Krishna, in the midst, it's a beautiful verse. It goes, in the midst of these two armies, Krishna smiled and said, You know what? Fuck it. I'll read it. Hold on. Let me go get it.
Sure.
It's so good. Hold on. This is a reading from chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita. Let's see. Let me find it. Actually, I think it's the last verse. And fuck. That would be the worst. Okay. Here it is. Here it is.
Is this like easy to read?
Yeah, you can read it in a fucking hour. They say you can read it in an hour. You can read it in a lifetime. Or a million lifetimes. Here's the line. It goes, these are the words that Sri Krishna spoke to the despairing Arjuna whose eyes were burning with tears of pity and confusion. This despair and weakness in a time of crisis are mean and unworthy of you, Arjuna. How have you fallen into a state so far from the path to liberation? It does not become you to wield to this weakness. Arise with a brave heart and destroy the enemy. Arjuna. So this is the dialogue. It's going. So Arjuna says, "How can I bring myself to fight against Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of reverence? How can I, Krishna? Surely be better to spend my life begging than to kill these great and worthy souls. If I killed them, every pleasure I found would be tainted. I don't even know which would be better, for us to conquer them or for them to conquer us." This is how Arjuna, the great warrior, spoke to Sri Krishna. With the words, "O Krishna, I will not fight," he fell silent. As they stood between the two armies, Sri Krishna smiled and replied to Arjuna, who had sunk into despair. Now that fucking verse always blows my mind, because it's this huge battle, and just anyone smiling in the middle of these two things, much less like the symbol for God, is really a beautiful thing. But so then it's like Krishna says, "You speak sincerely, but your sorrow has no cause. The wise grieve neither for the living nor for the dead. There has never been a time when you and I and the kings gathered here have not existed, nor will there be a time when we will cease to exist. As the same person inhabits the body through childhood, youth, and old age, so too at the time of death he attains another body. The wise are not deluded by these changes. When the senses contact sense objects, a person experiences cold or heat, pleasure or pain. These experiences are fleeting. They come and go. Bear them patiently, Arjuna. Those who are unaffected by these changes, who are the same in pleasure and pain, are truly wise and fit for immortality. Assert your strength and realize this." And it goes on for like mind-blowing chapter after mind-blowing chapter. It's fucking awesome.
Yes.
So that's that's the idea. We end up waking up, coming to ourselves, and we realize that we're about to have to go to war with some vampires. And the fucking instinct is to drop your bow and to
say, "I'm better than this.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fight. I'm going to
hope the world ends."
That's it. You got to fight. Rise to the fight, Holmes.
Oh my God.
Stop apologizing. Let the love blast out of your heart. The world needs it.
How? That's one of the options.
What's that?
Becoming a guy like Blanket Man.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Become
to me.
like Blanket Man.
I remember when I was growing up religious, I used to be like, if we really believe what we're saying, why aren't we all freaking out? Like, why aren't we really?
Yeah.
We didn't have a lot of blanket men. We didn't have any blanket men in my community. People that would just be like, "Fuck this guy." We had guys that were the nicest.
Yeah.
With the best handshake and the whitest teeth.
Yeah.
And starched shirts, and they were friendly, and they called you buddy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Just fucking white bread, unappealing,
Yeah.
unjuicy.
Yeah.
What were the other words? Powerful, undeniable.
Yeah.
Love stuff that people are drawn to. I was drawn to my youth pastor in a sense because I was like, I'd like to be thought of the way he is, which is like respected.
Yeah.
And people think he's nice
Yeah.
and funny and plays the guitar. That's like what I was going after. I wasn't going, this guy is soaked in love so much so that I smell him coming.
Well, that's the problem. And that's why, the followers of Loon Loon get so, it's like the followers of Loon Loon remind me of like a group of people who all have this iPad, and it's their religion, and it's this very potent, powerful thing.
Yeah.
And they're all pretending that it's turned on. when it's just black and blank, and they're all looking at it and they're being like, yeah, this is so beautiful. Isn't it incredible? It's, oh yeah, I'm totally surfing the net. God's talking to me. I can totally feel, but it's all not true. None of it's true, because the moment you plug into this fucking thing, however you do it, you can plug into this as an atheist. You can plug into this as an agnostic. You can plug into it as whatever. It's fucking novelty. It's passion. And the moment you get a taste of it and plug into it, man, you can't fake it.
Right.
It's
like being in love.
Yeah.
And then the sleeping and the eating and all that stuff is secondary. Why is there so much fasting going on? Probably because they're really connecting.
Well, the fasting is it's a psychedelic state you go into when you fast, and it's a.
Is that true?
Hell yeah! Don't eat.
I'm not gonna eat these tacos. No,
eat those
I am
tacos.
gonna eat those tacos.
Don't eat for a day or two, and then see. And also, especially if you mix the fasting in with some edible marijuana, and you do that in a ritualistic form, then
really
you can have some incredible experiences. Yeah, man.
I'd be afraid every time I eat weed. I'm afraid.
Dude, I ate weed and went to that Gnostic church, man. I ate marijuana. I ate a big dose of marijuana. I went to that Gnostic church, and it fucking blasted my mind. I highly recommend to my audience, if you're of age and if it's legal in your area, fucking chomp on some weed and go to a good church. Don't go to a loon church. Go find a good church. There are good churches. There are good communities of people who are trying to make the connection happen, and then see what happens.
Yeah.
And then go on my forum and let me know what happened.
But can I ask you one final thing about Christianity and everything?
Yes.
I feel like I found you in India. I feel like I climbed a mountain, and I'm like, can I ask you one more question?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Here's when you're like, there are good churches, and I felt a yearning towards that, and I was like, that would be great. But here's my problem.
Yeah.
We go into, even if it's a great church, and let's say it's a Christian church, and let's say that they are looking for it.
Yeah.
I don't find too many people that are willing to say the Christ story is just a story, or that's one interpretation. Maybe this didn't happen.
Yeah.
Maybe Christ didn't ascend to heaven. Maybe Mary didn't ascend to heaven while she was still living.
Yeah.
Maybe the miracles didn't happen.
Yep.
Maybe Jesus is just a story that we keep telling over and over because it's important to us.
Yeah.
I start running into people that are rejecting that book that you just read from so beautifully.
Sure.
People that are saying other religions are failing or flawed or wrong. I don't see too many people getting together praising Jesus as we understand him, which is a great thing. I would like to do that.
Yeah.
And also saying this might be beautiful bullshit. This might be beautiful bullshit because it's just describing a hot tub.
Yeah.
These are the words that we like to describe a hot tub.
Yep.
But it's not the hot tub, and maybe that Krishna book is better. These are what I
they're all fucking, you know what, man? They're all words describing the hot tub. Or as, it's said, the finger pointing at the moon, like if someone's pointing at the moon, it's easy to get, it's like the difference between staring at their finger and looking at what it's pointing to. So every single vehicle to get you to look at the moon, to get you to connect, in its own way can be a trap. In its own way can be a thing that gets you stuck in something that isn't. I just read this. I just was listening to Ram Dass on the treadmill today, and he said,
What, he has a podcast?
No, I'm doing a podcast with them. We're starting a podcast with them. Yeah, I've been helping them. We've got 4 episodes in the can right now. Yeah, but we're releasing it next month.
You got to email me.
What
were you listening to?
He does a million lectures and things that you can listen to.
Really?
I'll give it to you. It's incredible. But what he said is like all spiritual paths, all religions are traps. They're all their own form of trap that will get you caught into a pattern and get you locked into some certain pattern. You just have to have the faith when you go into it that it's a trap that will self-destruct. Because the idea is the real bona fide spiritualities, what they do is somewhere through the process of, utilizing the different rituals and different meditation techniques that they have, you will wake up to the realization that those meditation techniques are no longer necessary for you, and they get you back into novelty again. They get you back into the newness, into the moment of just being real. So go to a church. Everyone should go. This whole thing where people are turning their backs on churches and temples and mosques and all this stuff. Go with the spirit of like, I'm gonna.
I've never met someone like you, Duncan, that can read the Bible and be delighted by it, and read that and be delighted by it.
They're out there,
People
man.
read it. People read. See, I would like, because I spent so much time being fundamental.
Yeah.
My brain rejoices. I swear too much now. I know I do. I love saying goddamn.
Yeah.
I love saying Jesus. Things that I just abstained from saying my whole life. And like going back and reading the Bible or hearing it actually makes me upset somehow.
Yep.
It bothers me.
Welcome.
My mom's like, can't you just go to church? I'm like, no. She's like, why? And I say, because the songs infuriate me.
Isn't that spooky? Isn't it spooky? It's the most spooky thing ever. It's like you've got this source of love, power. It's this incredible thing.
Yeah.
And the people who have, I'll tell you this other fucking thing Ram Dass said in this lecture because it applies. So God and Satan were walking down the street, and God looked down and saw a little bit of truth on the ground, and he picked it up, and he's looking at it, and Satan's like, hey, give that to me. I'll organize it. So, so like the idea is like these fucking religions have stumbled upon this energy source, and then because they want to control the energy source, they try to organize it and create all this form around it, and then
we sing the songs, and then we hear the sermon, and we go to lunch.
Yeah. And you don't feel fulfilled, and you don't feel excited about life, and it's not like making you it's not making you jubilant and happy.
Yes.
And, what does the fucking gospel translate into? What does it translate into? Good news. It means the good news.
Yeah.
Now, when you hear good news, how do you feel?
Good.
You feel great when you get that fucking call and somebody's like, hey man, you booked the thing, or you got the job, or guess what, they just came in. Good news fills you with a sense of novelty. When the girl finally kisses you, when you finally like attain love, good news, you feel great. So in that same way, the fucking any real scripture, it should only be filling you with like exuberance and joy.
Right. But it's artificial. It's been organized by Satan. It's been organized
by Satan.
In that story.
Sometimes I speculate that if there, as a thought experiment, I do speculate, like if there was a super intelligent force in the universe that manifested, that liked to express itself through evil, and if there was the Lord of the Vampires.
Yes.
If there was a king of the vampires.
Yes.
If there was some vampire god.
Yeah.
It would take the real energy sources. It would recognize that there was like fresh water in this well, and it would sit over that well and shit in the water.
Yeah.
So that anyone who drank the water was like, man, I don't know, this tastes
I'm
like
thirsty,
shit.
but this tastes like shit.
Yeah.
Fucking hell,
A lot of the god clowns have shit in the water because they're vampires and they worship Loon. Our job is to become like Brita filters, filter that shit out and get the original energy source, and then you get the fucking zap and you feel good, Your life starts lightening up again.
Yes. I fucking have had my mind blown 17 or 18 times this
Pete Holmes, you brought it out of me, brother. I love you.
I love
Thanks
you,
for coming
man.
on this. Now, you have a super popular podcast.
Oh, come on.
You do. Your
See,
podcast
I'm
is fucking
apologizing
huge.
because I don't want you to stop loving me, and then I'll be hungry and afraid. I'm happy that people are listening to it. That's a very diplomatic way of saying
It's
yes.
fucking badass.
It's badass. Yes.
Yeah, so
I'm going to own it. It's a great. I love my podcast.
You made it weird.
You made it weird, and you're going to make it weird.
I want to make it weird.
God, it'll be so fucking good to talk again.
We're going to make it weird. I'll be
and
on
we
your
could also
podcast.
just do this in life, I've realized.
Yeah, we could actually hang out. No, I'm sorry. I can only hang out when I'm recording the
I
conversation.
kind of have a life like that.
Me
Chelsea
too.
and I are like, let's get lunch. And I'm like, oh, we should just record it. I'm like,
It's weird. I'm the same way, man. Like I bumble and I like.
But it does. Well, we're looking for novelty here. It's intoxicating. It's enlivening to me to think that this conversation exists.
Yeah.
Like it's captured, will be consumed.
Yeah.
And I can listen to it again.
Yeah, me too. And that's
Yeah.
the fucking idea, man. And the idea is to like, you got to start fearlessly having these fucking conversations because the vampires hate it. Because you know why? Vampires hate the light. And what's the light? The light's truth.
Yeah.
Whenever that shit starts shining around them, why when you fucking turn into a dragon? Not that Aziz is a vampire. He's not a vampire.
Yes, we get it. He was just,
the name does sound a little vampiric, but he's cool. I like Aziz. Anyway,
Aziz is not the point.
He's not the point. The point is go into the world and be a brave evolutionary force and see what fucking happens.
Yeah, man.
The girls will come.
Let's go in sensory deprivation tanks right now.
You need one, man. If you can lose the dream, I'm gonna. After I turn this off, now, what's your Twitter?
Pete Holmes with a Z.
Any shows coming up?
They'll be on PeteHolmes.com.
Okay, go to PeteHolmes.com. See you guys later. Hare Krishna. God is love. Keep it.